If you think about genre-defying fantasy settings, you probably think about Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and with the rise and downfall of the HBO series Game of Thrones. Probably each year there are new successful fantasy stories, just wouldn't call them genre-defying. Especially for me, and while for most people, poor C.S. Lewis' work lives in the shadow of the giant that is Tolkien. Not in the Hollywood sense of him dying broke and insignificant. His novels, especially the Chronicles of Narnia, sold like crazy, granting him fame and fortune. It's just that one or two things were different. He'd be regarded as the father of modern high fantasy and not his good friend and colleague J.R.R. Maybe that would have led to a future in that Peter Jackson had talking beavers in the movie, and Gandalf and Frodo were stuck with the director of Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. For some reason I felt like interacting with this mythical world again, but you gotta find the right way how to go about that. Reading, as we all know, is for losers. By the way, I think we read the first book in the 5th class, but I remember nothing about it. Watching the film? No. Playing probably poorly aged PS2 games? That's my jam. As any good high fantasy story, this game starts off with the most magical setting. A German airstrike raid during World War II on London. Ach du meine Güte. This is such a weird start for a game, as it is also used as a tutorial on how to play, but there's just that weird feeling of video game wailing on objects and collecting items while trying to escape from a Wehrmacht bombing. Either way, your mom completely fails as a parent and lets her 2 underage sons look for her daughters during a Nazi attack.
Boys, hurry and find your sisters. Oh! Hurry!
Parenting award right there. This teaches you to control the peeweenies, or however you say that, and switch between them, as each one has different things they can do. To be honest, the game is a bit different than I imagined. For some reason I thought they play a lot more like the 3 film Lord of the Ring games for PS2, and I'm very fond of those. Imagine my feeling as I realized it plays a lot more like Shrek 2. Okay, I'm joking. It actually plays like an unrefined Lego game, with all the character abilities, switching and simple combat. No wonder, as developer Traveler's Tale also is responsible for those, pretty much exclusively these days. In case you're wondering what happens if you let the timer run out, nothing much. Red flashing screen and the game over. No checkpoints though, so better start over as a bonus. The true horror of the movie games of this era are these early YouTube quality movie cutscenes. I'm kinda convinced not even YouTube bots will know what this is. Gonna try to get flagged, although I'm more worried about the music license. No point in talking about the story, but apparently the children are sent to their uncle or something to escape the war. Evil nanny included.
I'm afraid so.
Anyways, you finally enter the title-giving wardrobe and find yourself in Narnia, with all the wolves and other ne'er-do-wells jumping at your bits. There are more mechanics here than in a factory, so the game still teaches you about fire, team-up attacks and other stuff. The coins you get to collect at all times are used to buy moves or passive upgrades. I just mash attacks out, so I never care for moves though. What could follow your first expedition into an unknown world? Hide and seek in an old estate? You bet. Okay, graduates do though. I imagine it's cool for book fans to see the manor model in game, kinda how I felt about the early Harry Potter games and Hogwarts. There just isn't much to do besides searching for Lucy and some tactical nanny evasion gameplay.
How many times do you have to be told? It simply will not do. Now back to your rooms. What's going on? Snake! Snake!
Oh, I just wanted to mention the level select using carvings on the magical wardrobe. I thought that was neat. It was at this time Dominic realized that this game was designed to play as a local co-op game first. It gets really confusing switching between 4 children to do different tasks, while wave after wave comes crashing down on you. The idea behind the fight, however, is really cool, as everyone has to use their strong points to get through it. The 2 boys are focused on close combat, one taking care of little goblins, the other tries to get the troll's attention, Sushan takes out 12 archers and little Lucy is tasked with healing. I managed to wrestle him down by myself eventually, but don't worry, this is not the last time the developers used this format. After what would be the most difficult water slide in video game history, I'm not kidding by the way, this is NES hard. Thank God you can fail your way through with the help of generous checkpoints. The gameplay doesn't show it, but the controls don't give you enough, well, control to take these sharp turns. What were you thinking? I guess. Switching between 4 characters by yourself just isn't that fun, and nothing makes it more clear than the beaver dam level. Oh boy. The goal is to survive until the beaver clears the way. The problem? Well, there's wolves, goblins, stone boulders, and they constantly end in between. Gotta catch the goblin? Better watch out for those wolves, but on the way you better stop them dropping that big rock. This drags on way too long and isn't made easier by the fact you need to be close in order to switch between characters. A lot of game overs and a surprising stealth mission I had no idea how to tackle later.
Isn't it a little late to be creeping around the camp? Return to your tent.
Oh,
Return to your tent.
oh.
And we're at the second to last level, the Battle of Beruna. And this made me give up. I can't beat it. You're controlling the 2 male family members in this, and boys will be boys, but I can't simultaneously stop giants climbing the wall and defeat specific enemies. At least not with the help of another human being or grinding upgrades, both things I don't want to rely on for this game. Okay, and that brings us to Prince Caspian, released 3 years later. It's probably a better game I like less. From the back of the box, I thought this game would be more combat focused and improve on that aspect. Nah, they just throw in 20 playable characters. You know, in case you always wanted to play as the bowman or horseman of Narnia. The first level takes place during a castle siege, which is slightly more fantasy than a German arcade AR-68 bomber. I give them that. You control these 4 mythical creatures uniting to stop the enemy forces. Still using a similar archetype with fighter, fast character, stealth and healer, you switch between them to solve different challenges. What is neat and different is the level layout they came up with this time around. You start in the castle yard and each area from the battlefield, harbor and throne room is pretty much its own level with different obstacles. This feels pretty organic, even if the actual gameplay isn't that different. In the next segment I have the exciting experience of being united with the old gang. They washed ashore on some beach. I don't really know why or how. I just know that these English children have some really dirty feet. Your first task is to find a way to scale the cliff with some item help, as Peter's climbing skills seem to have lost their touch over time, and puberty. This level is a continuation of the structure of the castle, in the sense of having a big open world with mini levels in it. The developers definitely tried different stuff to break up the still simple fighting, with things like timing and light-based traversal or simple switch puzzles. Everything is bigger and more thought out. And everything takes longer to do, making it harder for me to sit through Prince Caspian. This leaves us with the understanding that the Narnia games at one time were fun to play with a younger sibling, but nowadays the most interesting thing about them is the fact that they're something like a prototype LEGO game.